if you really ended this, and if you made all of those steps, change your location to be away from her, and you were truly contrite, that you would have confessed. You're waking up next to me, we're talking, we're laughing, all the while you know that you're holding this secret inside, that you're deceiving me, you're not telling me the truth. We talked about affairs, we talked about relationships, and you knew that you had something to confess, and you never felt compelled to tell me. Welcome to my channel, PhD Chats. You clicked on the link when you didn't have to, and for that, I am grateful. A person who made some decisions that destroyed his marriage, right? Now, even though I'm telling the story from his perspective, I don't want to seem in any way that I'm empathizing with his decision making. So he made the decision to engage in an illicit affair with a coworker, right? It wasn't a mistake. It lasted for months. So he sowed the seed based on the information I know that caused his marriage to eventually collapse. That relationship was about 6 months or so. And then one day they just opened their eyes and said, oh my God, what are we doing? And decided to end that relationship, cut it. And he left that location of his company and moved to another location. So just to solidify that this is done, we shouldn't have done this in the first place, it's over. He declined to confess to his wife. So he kept that secret. The relationship was in fact over, and he just kept it a secret for 2 years until it came to light. A few things happened, something slipped, a statement, a suspicion, and then the cat was out of the box, and his wife now knew that this person that she knew in passing, right, didn't know personally, kind of a friend of a family, knew it was her husband's former co-worker, but had seen that woman, in the, 3 or 4 times in the 2 years. She now knew that this person and my husband had an affair. Now, the affair, based on what the husband told me, was less of an issue than the 2 years of secrecy. That is what was really heartbreaking, because she felt that if you really ended this, and if you made all of those steps, change your location to be away from her, and you were truly contrite, that you would have confessed. So she felt a betrayal. You're waking up next to me, we're talking, we're laughing, all the while you know that you're holding this secret inside, that you're deceiving me, you're not telling me the truth. We talked about affairs, we talked about relationships, and you knew that you had something to confess, and you never felt compelled to tell me. So in light of this discovery, she leaves, moves out of state to family, and stays there for an undefined amount of time. He makes several trips to where she was, unsuccessfully, able to woo her back to their home. She remained there, transferred her job remotely, eventually got an in-person job, then an apartment. He continued to go, determined for this relationship not to dissolve. They were married still, and he was unsuccessful. So that back and forth, traveling, kind of long distance, strain financially, strain emotionally lasted for about 2 to 3 years. And then he made the decision, because he could not determine what she was deciding to do. She did not know. She wasn't communicating. The quality of their relationship and their communication kind of dwindled to nothing. The trip stopped, and then they were just in this kind of purgatory of marriage. Little or no communication, definitely not seeing each other for months on end. This man goes on a date to a public affair, and his picture is taken in a group. He's posed with a woman. He was clearly on a date with her. That was not hidden. There's no double meaning. He asked a woman out on a date, and the picture was placed on social media, and his legal wife saw it. And she made a post on Facebook, asked a very kind of snide rhetorical question and said, I didn't know that married people could go on dates or something to that effect, and tags her husband in it. Now, I know it's tricky because she should be given enough time to heal that she needs, because he introduced this chaos into the marriage. However, part of her commitment to a lifelong relationship is transparency and vulnerability. It's saying, I don't know where this is going. I don't know how I feel yet. I'm not certain of my trust for you. I need more time to make a decision. That would still be more informative and more concrete than, missing his phone calls, not returning texts, keeping the fact that you had an apartment a secret, transitioning from remote to in-person, not saying a word. All of that is matching deceit with deceit. And so when I heard the backstory, I didn't disagree with the idea that he could go on a date. I felt like her behavior and the distance and the length of time equated with abandonment, and that I didn't think that he any longer had an obligation to hold on to that because he's anchored into a legal contract. They didn't file a legal separation, but they've physically not seen each other for a period of time, but it did not matter to her. And to me, that's wild, because some people elevate the importance of a legal marriage over a romantic bonded partnership. And that's why she can feel confident to say, in essence, you're still married. But married how? Married in what sense? Right? The important thing is that the relationship has dissolved and you have demonstrated a disinterest in repairing it. So how do you still now expect someone to align themselves with that? And that is because for many people, a legal marriage is everything. Not the quality, just the legality alone. They have elevated that to a place that it counts for something, even though there's nothing there. And I totally disagree. That's why I don't. I think we have really taken the shell. If you think of an egg, right? The substance, the value, the wealth of an egg is inside. It is the yolk, it is the albumin, it is not the shell of the egg. The shell of the egg, that thin shell that just holds that together, think of that as a legal marriage. And the actual substance of a marriage is what's inside. So in some cases, if you take a little hole, like when you're making Easter eggs and you punch that hole and you take out the yolk and you take out the white of the egg and you just have the shell, for some people that means something. The egg could be empty. There could be nothing there. They're fine because I'm still the wife. That's still my wife. I'm still her husband. When there's nothing there, to me, that's making a mockery of marriage. To me, that is making a mockery of it. You're not better. You're not better than the couple who is unmarried, who is in a bowl, if you put it that way, with everything there. All the fullness, all the love, everything that a marriage needs is there. And there are people who think that the legal arrangement is what takes precedence, to the point that if you have the legality, that God, that the spiritual connotation, the spiritual expectation, the spiritual endorsement is not there if the legal part of it is not present. And I disagree. I don't. I no longer believe that. Now, I really want to do a second and third part of this conversation. That will only happen if you put your thoughts in the comments. This is not a psychological analysis of the parameters of marriage. You can put all the legal terms for marriage and legal separation and abandonment in the comments if there's any, legal minds out there. This is a discussion about what it means to be married. Does marriage mean that you went before a minister, you said, I do, you signed on a dotted line, and you're legally man and wife? Or does marriage mean that there is a healthy relationship system that is fulfilling and loving, and where there's reciprocity and it's beneficial to both parties? That's the question. What does it mean to be married? And where is your focus?